We have Miss Hope Jones and Mr. Natcher. We're at So they asked you.
All right, we got to remember that. We got to hear this. For you, text him and see, remind
Stay with Christians.
This is his spotlight. We're going to recognize that. Because he was speaking about there usually. About 30 seconds.
Anyone else need to like going? Need water?
All right, guys, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. We got 2 new members. Is he on his way? He's 3 minutes away? All right, we'll recognize him when he gets here. Y'all would, everybody turn the cell phone off and Representative, would you lead us in the word of prayer?
Father, we're so thankful to you for this body. We're thankful most of all for Jesus and for you and our ability to call you our Father. And Father, we just ask your blessings on our proceedings today, and may we do those things which are right. Give us wisdom and judgment to make those decisions. Thank you so much for everything. In Jesus' name, amen.
We've got a new member that we welcome to our committee. I wonder where you found those words. Representative Jones, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you're on our committee, and we appreciate your wisdom. And then we've got a new elected member. We'll recognize him when he gets here. Daxter is out of where?
He's from Jefferson County.
Jefferson County. So we welcome his wisdom. I guess that took
Rogers.
That's right, John Rogers. All right. Let's see. I guess we'll jump right on. Is everybody signed up the sheet that's going to speak? There's only one speaker, and that's Baker. Is that right? All right. Clerk will call roll.
Yes, sir. Representative Ingram?
Here.
Representative Wood? Here. Representative, Dr. Boyd? Here. Representative Hurst?
Here.
Representative Standridge?
Here.
Representative Clark? Here. Representative Crawford?
Here.
Representative Jones? Representative Fiddler? Here. Representative Hammett?
Here.
Representative Harrison?
Here.
Representative Hope Jones? Here. Representative Stubbs? Representative Datcher? You have a quorum,
All
sir.
right. Thanks. I'm going to turn the committee over to Vice Chair Debbie Wood, because I'm presenting the bill, so I'm handing the gavel to you. You have the reins.
Thank you. First of all, we welcome everyone here. The first bill that we're going to hear, the only bill we're going to hear about today is House Bill 14, and the sponsor is Chairman Ingram.
All right, thank you. Let me tell you where this bill originated. We've got problems in this state, not pointing out any particular area, but I know that y'all live here in the state, you know where the problems are. Bessemer being one of them, which probably I think is now #1 worst crime in the country, not just the state, but the country. And then a lot of other municipalities that are in that area, and a lot of them in my area, and south. And so we've got a mechanism in place on the education component that we can put in for a safeguard if a school system falls below a certain grade, or if they have a problem financially, that the state goes in and intervenes. And we don't have that problem on crime, and I think that's just as important. The problem with crime is, number one, would be the public safety component of it is bad, that when we don't have the law enforcement to keep our citizens safe in that district, just like the children in our, Representative, if you want to sit down, I think we've got another chair, you can pull it off the side here. Yeah. My representatives can sit up here, fellow representatives can sit up wherever they want to. Except that end one is taken, that's our new member, that's, Stubbs is gone, you can use that chair. When there's a lot of crime, not only is it a safety problem, but it's a problem to our jails. So when we're filling up and building new jails in the state, and so there's no repercussions on the city. So if there's a felony committed in my city, or Montgomery, or Pike Road, or whatever, then the county tries them, and the state houses them, and they own them until they get off parole. The city has no skin in the game whatsoever. So the state is taking most of the responsibility. And it's just like in education. If a school falls below a grade, we want to make sure that we're there to take care of that school and take care of those citizens. We need to be there as a safeguard, as a parent, kind of like the counties are a sibling and the city's a sibling. We want to be there to be able to help that city with any resources that we can. If they can't hire a police chief, kind of like Selma's gone through, then we're going to see if we can give them some resources and see what we can do to help. It's not a takeover, it's not a hostile takeover. This is to be able to say, if we want to put your sheriff in charge, if you can't find a police chief, or if you're having a hard time recruiting, my sheriff in Montgomery County is slam full. There's no vacancies as far as hiring. But in the city of Montgomery, we're down 200 and something police officers. Nothing to do with the mayor. A lot of it is just because other benefits are given to other police departments or sheriff's departments or Aaliyah or whoever, that they can't compete. So we would go in, intervene, not a takeover, not a hostile takeover, go in and see what resources we can give them, loan them, be able to say, this bill would say you can use your sheriff or we can give you somebody to lead. This bill had no intentions of taking anything over. I understand in this bill, it was my concept, the AG wrote the bill, and the governor's staff had some input. I worked on this bill for about 5 months. I worked with Treadaway, talked to him on it, talked to some other members, talked to somebody in other districts, other sheriffs, other police departments, other mayors, and this is a starting point. So I want to bring people to the table to see what we can do. Number one, like I say, public safety, protecting our citizens and our municipalities. Number two is to protect the interest of the state. If you've got a crime that's, a lot of the cities aren't even reporting. I can tell you probably 10 right off the bat that hadn't reported in 3 years to Aaliyah or hadn't reported to the FBI. We don't know what their true stats are. We want to make sure that Montgomery is safe. We want to make sure, that's my district, we want to make sure Birmingham's safe. We want to make sure every citizen, every city that you go into in this state, if you get off the interstate and you're traveling, we will make sure you're safe. If you live here and you're raising your children here, and you've chosen Alabama to be your state, by God, public safety should be number one in my book. And we got to start with our cities. A lot of our mayors, we've got a good mayor, I'm not saying anything about Montgomery or Pike Road, or Wetumpka that I represent. I'm just saying a lot of people that get elected on a popularity contest, a lot of times have no idea how to lead and how to run a city. And I don't know of any cases that way. Montgomery has been, Mayor Montgomery has been into politics, and he knows, I'm not pointing that finger. Same way with Gordon Stone and my other mayor. But I'm just saying there are mayors out there that may need resources, and this bill would be able to give them the resources. And I'll open it up for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have one person that would like to speak, Baker Allen. Would you like to come to the podium, Baker? Thank you, welcome.
Good afternoon, I'm Baker Allen, Director of Governmental Affairs for the Alabama League of Municipalities. I'd like to start off by saying one of the great things about municipal government is access to law enforcement. its ability to build safer communities that hiring is tied to that local process. We believe policing and law enforcement is very important, an important function of municipal government. But the way the bill's written, we have a couple of concerns that we should be looked at. The first is the clarity in the metric in the bill for what would trigger a takeover from the AG or the governor's office. It says that there are certain things that are looked at, but there's no clear defining standard. The city couldn't see when they're getting close to that mark, we need to take other corrective actions, the time frame, et cetera. And on the back end, we don't have a metric for when the governor or the attorney general would leave. It's at discretion, so there's no way for local government to kind of plan when the takeover would occur and when it would happen. And as you can imagine, that could create, I don't think with the current administration, the folks involved, create political problems, right? There were someone who had a problem with the municipality, they could take over that police department based on generalized metrics. So I think, for something to come along forever, long after we're all gone, that's something that needs those parameters. Additionally, we talked about some of the incentives lining up, correctly lining up. The police chief that would be appointed would be interim. But that interim police chief, under the bill, has the ability to get expenses from that municipality and could lock them into long-term contracts for software, equipment. The municipality now has to handle on its own budget. And finally, we have liability concerns. The state has sovereign immunity liability. It's our interpretation of the bill. When an interim police chief is appointed, they fall into sovereign immunity, but their staff does not. And so the decisions being made at the interim police chief level, what's expected from the officers, the immunity levels are different. And it could create issues when giving directives because they don't follow the same procedures. Mr. Chairman, appreciate y'all giving me time to speak. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
If you need more time, get the other speakers.
Nope.
Bring it on
You
out.
gotta try to
Bring
keep
it on
it
out.
sweet and simple.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Are there any vendors that would like to ask the sponsor of the bill any questions?
On page 3, we're talking about the circuit or the court, if they are satisfied and rule in favor of reimbursement. And then it says the court shall award according to all the costs associated. What if the cost is a lot more because the city is going to pay for the cost? What if that cost is really high? They're already in financial distress.
Well, this ratio on this would be based on prior years of their employment. Let's say we're down and they're over 200. Well, there should be attrition by that, and this formula is going to be based on, in this bill, based on their last, how many police officers they had. And expenses on that would still have to be approved. It's in their budget, so the city council would approve the police department's budget, so they couldn't get out of the budget.
So you're saying that the historical salaries paid, that's the limit?
That would be the limit.
So
they're in their operating budget from the city council. They wouldn't be able to get out of their budget.
But are you also saying that the interim police chief will find these empty spots and fill them?
No, I guess that would be up to personnel too, but to find out the reason why they're not being filled, if it's a morale problem, if it's a lack of leadership, which it could be, like Selma's had a lot of problems with that. They hadn't been able to find somebody. If it's somebody that you can't go out of Montgomery, I think we talked about hiring deputies, we've had that bill before, going out of that municipality to be able to hire. What's the handicap of getting those people back in there and let the state see what they can do with them?
So those deputies will really be doing overtime. So you will have 1.5 times the cost, probably.
Well, that would be if the sheriff was appointed. That would be up to the sheriff if we want to do it in the county commission. The sheriffs don't come in at all. I mean, the deputies don't come in here at all. Nonetheless, that's something that the city council can do. Or the sheriff wanted to say, hey, I've got these extra personnel. We can use these others. They can't grow the budget, but they have to be able to fund it to a certain level, like what's spelled out in here. is it over the last 5 years or 10 years? Where were you staffed at? What's your population ratio? Is it gone down or gone up or stayed the same? And you need to be at that ratio. And this isn't a mandatory takeover. You know, the AG and myself wanted to do to where we don't know who the next AG is going to be. We don't know who the next AG is going to be in 50 years. We don't know who the next governor is going to be. So it's either or. You know, you say you've got an AG that's good friends with that mayor and say, hey, yeah, we're not going to do it, but knowing that it needed to be done, the governor has an option. It's either or. And it's not so much a takeover. It is a go in and help you and see what resources we can give you. We've got to be able to do something to hold the cities at a net to be able to keep crime at bay. There's nothing against any of the municipalities. I look at it as giving them a toolbox full of tools to be able to help them. But we've got to keep the citizens of this state safe. And if we don't have the jurisdiction to go in and help them with their police department, then we're doing the same thing we're doing every day.
Was there some type of procedure the Attorney General government go through to determine?
There is mechanisms on here, right? There is a formula in here to where, in the code sections that gives them some traction to go, or they can just say, hey, I've got my hand raised, come help me. And they can volunteer to come in. And that's where we think most of it's going to be. I don't see anybody just going in and taking over a city and say, hey, we're here, we're going to take you over. We don't, law enforcement and the counties and the state level like that, they don't want to go in and take over a city. They don't want the responsibility. But we want to be able to give them the tools, and that's what this bill does, is give them the tools and the option to do it. Whether they raise their hand and say, come in, we can't hire anybody.
Mr. Chairman, I've been sitting here thinking something about my background. They may not know, or most people may not know. My husband was one of the first vice officers. Now I won't go into details of all what happened. Smart as a whip, I'm not going there. But I want to say I'm just not opening my mouth, but I'm speaking from experience. The idea and the concept is great. I know where you're trying to go with it. But the young man that spoke at the mic, there's some things that really I'm concerned about, that they are not. Our public representative brought some of them out. They're not spelled out enough. I guess it's like this, don't care how much legislation we do on paper, we mean well. But the problem comes in is who's gonna hold the office and how subjective and objective we can be. And you can get a smart lawyer, don't care how well we do this, who's gonna read into it. So my question to you is, how did this come about to change all this? Is it just coming to Montgomery and those other areas? But how about these smaller areas where may not be able to?
Right, this would take care of every smaller city and larger city.
Tell me how.
So it would have the same grounds as far as, if you're down on your police officers and crime is up over a certain percentage, they would go in and address it and talk to you and talk to the mayor and the city council and see what they can do to help. Like I was saying, Bessemer is number one in the nation now in crime. We've got Montgomery has got crime. We've got problem hiring police officers. We've got good leadership, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything about leadership. I'm just saying, what's keeping us not hiring police officers? What's keeping from Birmingham not hiring police officers? What tools in the toolbox can we do to help them recruit and retain? And that's basically where we're at.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you're talking about retaining and recruiting officers. One problem we have in Cumberland County, we're on the Florida, we border with Florida. So they'll get these guys through the police academy, get them trained, and they go across the line and work in Walton or Oak Ridge County for $5 to $7 more an hour.
Right.
And I would say some of my little towns and probably the sheriff's office, they probably are 30% less on the 10-year average just because they don't have the funds to keep. I don't think the crime in this county or the cities aren't what you're talking about in Bessemer or wherever, but I mean, that's a problem we've got. I mean, Florida's come in poaching officers after they get them through school.
And I think it's the same problem on a lot of our borders, you know, like Georgia and Tennessee as well. But it's something we need to look at. But it's not happening in Montgomery or Selma. That's not the reason. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to drive that far. But they need help. The cities need help. Selma's asked for it. Other municipalities have asked for it. We just need to put something in place to be able to help them. Not a hostile takeover. We don't want to own any cities as far as their police department. We just want to make sure that we keep crime down and be able to help the citizens and give them the tools that they need, the mayors and city council, whoever else, wherever they can do, we can. Because we're building new prisons, and you know, there's a lot of victims out there.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Mr. Chair, Mobile wants your resources. That's what we want. And like Representative Hammond said, that the issue is funding. You said your sheriff's department is staffed up. Well, guess where our sheriff's department recruits its officers? From our Mobile Police Department. Their first opportunity, there's an opening in the sheriff's department.
So how do we fix that?
Away they
It's a
go.
bid.
Well, it's just a matter of pay. We do not pay our first responders enough money for the work that they do. That's what it boils down to.
Yes, sir, I'd like to give you an opportunity to speak.
Oh, okay. Well, good evening. I'm sorry.
2 minutes.
Okay. Good evening. For those who don't know me, my name is Travis Hendricks, Representative Travis Hendricks. And as y'all, well, some of y'all may know, some of y'all may not know. I'm a sergeant with Birmingham Police Department. So, with this bill, there are a lot of issues with this bill. Just be personal, like seriously. And I'm not saying that just to knock the work that y'all have done, but I know we're talking about the officers, for example. He's exactly right. You get states coming from all over the world recruiting your personnel just for extra money, and that is important. These officers want money. That's the reason why. The problem is that we're not giving them enough money. If you was to increase their salary, do a little bit more in terms of their benefits.
And that would be up to the municipality to increase the salary, not the state.
Right. But
Yeah.
if the state can help out that municipality,
Right, letting them allow to raise taxes, to raise funding. I mean, we can't give funding.
I mean,
However way.
whichever way we can do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we can work it out. We can
And
work it.
so it's not always the salary. A lot of times it's working conditions. Sometimes they say that's number one over salary is actually working conditions. That's what the survey says.
Not necessarily.
I'm
Like
just telling you what our stats and our survey had done.
But I'm telling you what I see every day. You see what I'm saying? It's not the working conditions every day. It's not. I'm telling you, the issue is that you got a lot of men and women have to take care of their family. And you know what they do? Every day they have to put a gun and badge on their side. Every day, not knowing they coming home. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
So if we was to somehow, some way help these local municipalities out, because a lot of times it's not the mayor, it's not the chiefs. They just need the resources and the funding to help their officers.
Right.
Hear me out now. I'm trying to tell you a solution that would help. If we can somehow, some way provide these people that we put in place, or the city or the municipality put in place, I guarantee it help out. Guarantee.
We'll look at it.
Representative Haslett.
I heard the word, you said it's not a takeover, but I believe when you take an appointment away from somebody and give it to somebody else, that's a takeover.
Yeah.
I just,
Well,
hold on,
it's
wait,
a
no,
temporary,
let me just make that clear, because that's not fixing the problem. And I agree with Representative Clark and Jones and Representative Hammond, is that when you have state troopers, you got county commissioners. I don't even think that we have enough state troopers in the state. But we don't ask the federal government to come in and say, hey, parent us, so we need more state troopers from all over the country to come here and just help us out. We're not asking the federal government to say, hey, Governor, the Attorney General.
The federal government's here now. ICE is in Montgomery today.
Well, that's by the mandate from the president.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is,
federal.
but what I'm saying is that we're not asking them to take an appointment from the governor or from the people to say, let's make an appointment. Because if we be clear, y'all, when you take something away and just changing the head, that don't mean we're going to change anything. It's all about resources. It's all about helping the personnel. It's all about looking at,
And that's what this is, personnel. It's about
well,
helping
the
resources.
benefits,
Yeah.
salaries.
And that would be up to them, the city. They can name the salary if they want to give them a raise.
Okay, but that's what it's about. It's not about changing the head. This is the only reason why Chiefs are not successful. It's not because of the decisions they're making. It's because of the fact that they got to be competitive against state troopers, against the sheriffs, and against federal law enforcement.
But a lot of the police officers in Montgomery, my municipality, have left and gone to the sheriff's department for less money.
Yeah, well, you know,
For less money.
but because of the fact
They
that a
took
lot
a
of,
demotion.
well, they took less money because some of them are overworked, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
they
telling
said
you,
working
they're
conditions.
letting
That's
you
what I
know
was talking
that.
about, working
Yeah, a lot of them are overworked.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to police a lot of areas and they're overworked. But the thing is, if we come up with a system, if the state want to do anything, put Montgomery in the budget and give them resources.
Well, that
Not
would be,
change the head of,
yeah, you
because,
couldn't do every city like that. You'd
of
start
course
that,
not,
and,
of course not.
But you could let them, you know,
But my
hire,
point
and
is,
they could hire now. You know?
but my point is, take it, getting the attorney general and the governor to give a point of interim treatment is not the answer.
Thank you, sir. And in our newest member, our chairman actually introduced you, and we knew that you were in another committee first.
Yes,
and Kelvin Datcher, welcome, and you would like an opportunity to speak.
I would.
We'll let this be our last speaker, Mr. Chairman.
that'd be
Okay.
great.
Thank you so much. And first of all, let me thank everybody for how welcoming everyone's been the last 24 hours. I've actually figured out where I'm supposed to park and where the bathrooms are. So it's been great. I do want to take a point of personal privilege and thank the chairman, who was one of the first people to reach out to me before my appointment to this committee, and gave some great advice, and it was very encouraging. So I do want to thank you publicly for that. I also want to thank you for the interest behind the bill, because I think at our conversation you were very sincere and wanting to strengthen and make our community safer. So, any disagreement I may have on the bill, I just want to make sure up front that I say that I appreciate that concern that you have. But I do have deep concerns about the proposed legislation. First and foremost, it nullifies the vote of the residents of that community who have voted to elect the CEO of that city, who has the appointment power to control public safety. And that is a huge concern of mine, because when I go to vote for my mayor, for my county commissioner, I'm empowering them to protect my community. And that's a decision I get to make as a resident. And I feel like the state would be, frankly, nullifying my vote should they overreach into a community in that way. Secondly, there's really fuzzy criteria in terms of how a selection of which community would be, frankly, taken over or interceded. We know, for instance, in Birmingham, to be very frank about it, we have had a surge in homicides. However, I have documents here showing across the board significant, and thanks to people like Representative Hendricks, significant decreases in crime in rape, robbery, aggravated assaults, burglary, auto theft, and theft of property. Significant.
Let me ask you this. I hate to interrupt.
Yes, sir.
But was all of the stats reported to the AG or the FBI, or those are the stats that are coming from the mayor?
These stats come from the city, and then we report those to the FBI,
But they hadn't been reported lately.
They've been reported as of December 31st to NIBRS, the national system that the
Because we
FBI
hadn't
set up.
reported, Montgomery hadn't reported in 3 years.
That's not true.
We report.
That's not true at all.
Well, I mean, I'm just going by what Aaliyah told me.
That's not true.
Well, Leland tell you the truth.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll look at those then.
Yes, sir. Now,
Since I was told that, it wasn't.
We would love to have a
yes,
meeting.
sir. Well, I'm happy to. I made some copies and I'm happy to share those with members of the committee. Also, and kind of finally, I'm not sure that turning to the state is the best idea. The state itself has struggled in hiring at the law enforcement level. We know the DOC particularly is woefully understaffed. We know that Aaliyah continues to search to staff up state troopers. So I'm not sure that we're turning to folks who have, frankly, performed at the level to hire and maintain the staff at the state level, and then we're turning to them to help our municipalities. So I do think resources could be a conversation as well, but those are my concerns, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time.
Yes, we appreciate your comments. And this is not, and I hear the concerns. I hear that it needs to be pretty clear on when to come out, how long it's gonna be. I hear that, the concerns from members that have come in that are not on the committee. And I'm glad to let y'all speak, be at the round table on this. I'm gonna
The
carry
chair lady did that.
Yeah. But I'm gonna carry the bill over because I think we need a few days to talk about it. And I talked with Representative Clark and Dr. Boyd about this as well. And they've got some concerns, and I told them early on that I would do that. I will bring the bill up probably next week, so, and we will vote on it. I think there needs to be some clarity when to come out. But this is not a takeover. This is something that if a mayor in any city wanted to say, hey, I need help, AG, or hey, I need help, Governor, can you help me? Then they'll be able to come in and help them. There's not a whole lot of things that we can do legally without the law to be able to help them and give them somebody. And I think the liability part of it needs to be clear. And I think that there's a few things that we need to work on and a couple of amendments, and I'll be willing to work if anybody wants to bring those. So at this time, I'll make a motion to carry this bill over to the call of the chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will move out of we'll be back into our regular committee meeting, and I will turn the committee back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
We've got one more thing, business. We've got an intern, Mr. Floyd. If you would stand up and introduce yourself, sir.
Well, hey, how everybody doing? My name is Darius Floyd. I'm a graduate of the University of South Alabama, where I obtained my bachelor's in public relations and advertising and my master's in communication. And now I'm here serving as a legislative intern. And yeah, I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.
And the protocol, guys, I appreciate you being here. No worries. But the protocol, if you want to speak on this bill next week, sign up on the sheet and we'll talk
I
about
just
it.
saw you and I want to recognize you.
No worries. No, I want your wisdom. I want your wisdom.
If someone asks for another public hearing.
That's right. If we can.
Yes.
All right, at this time, I hear a motion to, wait, hold on.
The public hearing would have to be requested for next week. Since we've held one day, so if someone else requests it,
But we will take a vote on it next week. If there is a public hearing, not a public hearing.
But you did say if somebody wanted to speak next week, they need to sign. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, well, always, they can always sign up. But they gotta call for a public hearing first. We'll talk about that.
but
I
yeah.
have a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, it's fine. Let me know if you're going in.